Chapter 2, Homecoming, August 31st, 21:58, 1400 hours, 26 minutes, 35 seconds. The chronoloom came alive with a sound like the universe tearing itself open. Blue light crackled across the chamber, arcing between the vast, interlocking rings suspended above the concrete floor. The air thickened, pressure building until each breath felt deliberate, weighted. The hum deepened into something almost musical, low, resonant, vibrating through bone and teeth alike. Judith watched from the observation line, hands folded loosely behind her back. She did not flinch. She never did. Time had done little to soften her features. Her hair, fully grey, worn without dye or pretense, was pulled back into its familiar severe knot. The years had refined her, sharpened her. Every motion was economical, every breath measured. She stood at a distance calculated not for safety alone, but for control. Chaos, she believed, should always be observed from a position of choice. Behind her, slightly to the left, stood Silas, at the main console. His eyes never left the readouts scrolling across the glass panels. The decades of dedication to their craft had etched themselves into him more visibly than they had into Judith, but his hands were steady as stone. The intensity of the loom reached its zenith. The light intensified, threads of electric blue weaving into a blinding lattice. The hum surged, then cut off abruptly as though a circuit breaker had been thrown by the universe itself. Silence fell. A figure stepped forward out of the fading glow. She stumbled as her feet touched solid ground, knees buckling under her. One hand shot out instinctively, catching herself before she could collapse fully onto the concrete. Her breath came in sharp, disoriented gasps, the kind that followed violent displacement. Silas was already moving toward her. He crossed the distance quickly, offering his arm without hesitation. The woman looked up at him, eyes wide, unfocused, and then recognition flooded her face. "Silas," she breathed. A smile touched his lips. It was small, restrained, but genuine. "Welcome home, Christina." She took his arm, letting him help her to her feet. Her balance wavered for a moment before she steadied herself, blinking rapidly as the chamber came into focus around her. The space was slightly unfamiliar and yet hauntingly the same. Different configurations, different interfaces, but the same impossible machine looming behind them. Her gaze shifted. She saw Judith. "Dr. Hawking," she said, relief threading her voice. Judith's expression softened immediately. She stepped forward just enough to close the emotional distance, a smile breaking through her otherwise placid composure. "Judith, darling," she corrected gently. "Call me Judith." She let out an unexpected quiet laugh, light and self-deprecating. "I certainly hope I haven't been making people call me doctor." Tina smiled, some of the tension bleeding out of her shoulders. "No, Judith. You've told me that before," she said. "I just didn't want to presume." "I understand," Judith replied warmly, "and thank you." She gestured toward the long briefing table set into the far side of the chamber. It was enormous, designed to seat 20 or more, but they only occupied the 3 chairs near the head. "Let's have you sit down, dear," Judith said, placing a gentle hand at Tina's elbow. "Your body has just been through quite a shock." They sat. Tina's hands rested on the smooth surface of the table, fingers trembling faintly as the last echoes of displacement worked their way out of her system. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. The first word she spoke was barely louder than a whisper. "Adam." Judith met Silas's eyes. The look passed between them was brief, precise, a confirmation, a calculation completed. Judith turned back to Tina, her brown eyes warm and reassuring. She reached across the table and laid her hand over Tina's. "Adam is just fine, dear." Tina's chest rose sharply as she exhaled, tension releasing all at once. Her shoulders sagged as though she had been holding herself upright on nothing but fear. "He is a very capable young man," Silas added. Although we had to make it appear to the authorities that he was terminated after he completed his mission. I hope you understand why." He paused, glancing quickly at Judith. She returned the nod without hesitation. "But I do need to share one very major complication with you," Silas continued. "One that may not have been made entirely clear before." Tina frowned slightly. "Complication?" Silas hesitated, the words momentarily failing him. Judith filled the void. "There was collateral damage, dear," she said calmly. Tina looked between them, confusion dawning. "Mrs. Walker, you need to know that the Christina Marie Townsend that existed in this timeline lost her life in an attempt to save her husband from being erased." The effect was immediate. "No," Tina gasped. She immediately connected dots in her head. Her hands clenched into fists. "Elliot!" Judith was already leaning forward, her voice soothing, precise. "No, Elliot is safe." Tina froze, breath hitching. "And I am very sure," Judith continued gently, "that he will be so pleased to see you again." The words struck home. Tina sagged back in her chair, one hand flying to her mouth as she sucked in a shuddering breath. Relief flooded her expression, overwhelming everything else. Tears welled, but she laughed softly through them, overwhelmed, exhausted, alive. "So that's why I can be here." Tina shook her head, closing her eyes. "Because she isn't coming back." She paused, tracing through logic that she had not had time to digest yet. "And Elliot," she realized it now. "Elliot is alive because he never—" She trailed off, feeling both a sense of wonder and terror. "He never got into that spinner." Judith finished her thought. "Because in this reality, he never married you."